try to clink, but what I realized is later the video gets swapped. So if we clink like this, it doesn't work.
Okay.
We have to go to the outside. Okay, so clink to the outside wall. There, then it's going to be a link. Best to congratulate you on the book. Our guest today is Laurie Easter, whose book, All the Leavings, is out this October.
It's a memoir and essays. It takes place in Southern Oregon, where I live off the grid. It's about loss and grief, motherhood, what it means to love and be faced with losing and potential of losing. So there's a lot of hard subjects and hopefully also some lightness in it too.
Your spirit, I think, is it strikes me as very uplifting. Like, yeah, there's hard material, like any life has, but it's your handling of it and your ordering of it. I don't remember feeling like it was too much ever. I want to ask you two things. The first is about the title, All the Leavings. Could you talk a little bit about how you came up with that title?
Okay, so the title changed a couple of times. Two friends read the manuscript, and both of them, without talking to the other, said, I think the title is All the Leaving. And as soon as they said that, it was like, that's it.
I like it because it gets to what you were talking about. You will have loss when you love, when you open your heart. Also, it really gives a nod to the fact that this is composed of different essays. And so it feels like each piece is its own little look at that sort of larger theme. When I read your manuscript, I was like, whoa, she's really living off the grid. The people I hear using that term are sort of like, well, I don't know, grind my own coffee beans, or I have a compost pile. So they feel like that's pretty radical. So can you talk about what off the grid means?
Sure, yeah. So I have an independent power system. I'm on solar and hydroelectric. All around me is wilderness, but I have neighbors that I feel like they're nearby. To regular people, they'd be like, they're not that nearby. And I have a well, and I pump my water using my solar electricity. Intake for the water line that runs the hydro is up over a ridge, and it takes about 45 minutes to hike back there. In the winter, it often goes out because if there's a storm, it'll fill in with sediment, or sometimes a bear will pull the pipe out. And I don't really have a bathroom. I have an outdoor bathtub and shower, and I have an outhouse. So it's not the kind of life that a lot of people would want to live, but it suits me, and I've been doing it a long time.
Some of that sounds like my childhood, like no running water, outhouse, like all the things I wanted to never have again. And yet it works for you. What is the payoff?
Independence, for sure, a sense of privacy, being very close to nature. I've always been a nature girl. It's very empowering. I have to say, I feel strong, and I'm 55 years old, and I'm doing things that I never thought I would have done before, like using a chainsaw. I was always terrified of that.
I'm scared of chainsaws. You just drop them and it's over.
I mean, they're scary, right?
You're 55 and your skin is beautiful. So that is,
oh, thank you.
It seems like you're maybe not eating or putting lots of crap on.
That's nice to hear. But see, I'm all pink because now I'm getting.
Yeah, now I'm just taking it to the superficial level. It seemed like you learned that you could do things. Like you just were saying right now, like I am learning to use a chainsaw. You just found this place, you made it work. You didn't look to other people necessarily to make your life what you wanted it to be. Because most of us don't have faith in ourselves necessarily to do that. So how did you decide what to write about and what not to write about?
I write about the things that are pressing to me, things that I'm really grappling with in my life and in my heart and in my mind. Writing about whatever it is my way of figuring it out. You can't write about yourself and your experience without writing about other people. So I don't really feel like I have a whole lot of control over what I write about. It just comes. In terms of what I choose to leave out, if there's something that's not serving the narrative, if it's just tacked in there because it seems cool, or maybe I wrote it really well, this certain paragraph, but if it's not serving the narrative, I leave it out. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I especially like what you said, like basically it's intuitive. And so it's not like you're really deciding until later, maybe you're revising. And especially the thing about when you write about yourself and the things that matter to you, you are going to necessarily write about other people. You didn't say it, but I know that you do that respectfully too, which is a big part of it. Would you read an excerpt for us?
I sat up in the darkness. Cougar screaming had chilled me awake. And even though this time I knew its source, the sound was as daunting and creepy as the last time I heard it, those many years before. I checked to see if my cat, Lacey, was lying on the bed in her usual spot, but felt nothing. I feared she was outside about to become Cougar snack, so I slipped out of bed. I went out the back door, navigating my way via flashlight to our gravel driveway. The rocks were rough on my bare feet and jagged edges dug into my soles. Scanning the flashlight back and forth along the driveway, I moved slowly over the shale. The night's coolness settled on my pale skin. Here, kitty, kitty, I called, clicking my tongue in my usual way. My mind was singular. Find Lacey. I clicked. Kitty, my soprano voice sang. I walked the 300 feet to the curve in the road, still calling, here, kitty, kitty, still swinging my flashlight from right to left, then right again. Then I stopped, suddenly consumed by anxiety. I felt nocturnal eyes scrutinizing me from behind. I thought, there is a big cat nearby. It can see me, but I can't see it. All I wanted to do was get back to the house. I wanted to run, but I knew running was wrong. All the warnings say to make yourself look as large as possible, pull a sweater or jacket up over your head, wave your arms, don't back down, make yourself intimidating. But I was completely naked, a glowing pale body of flesh. I had no sweater or jacket. I had nothing but a small flashlight. I was the least intimidating I could be, standing helpless in the black night. I was a walking dinner invitation. I turned back toward the house, even though instinct told me that's the direction from which I was being watched. My heart rate quickened. I didn't run, but walked faster than when I first ventured out, no longer calling, here, kitty, kitty. The air was quiet except for my breathing. When I reached the lawn, the oak trees beside the house's shadowy mass brought a false sense of safety. I figured since I was awake and outside, I'd take advantage of the opportunity and squat on the grass to pee. As I squatted on the lawn, no longer human-like on two legs, but animal-like in a crouch, out of the oak tree I had walked beneath only moments before, less than 50 feet from where I was now squatting, I heard a large four-footed animal landing on the ground. I shined my light in that direction, but fear had slowed my reflexes. The beam sliced through the darkness to find only branches, leaves, a solid trunk. The cougar had already silently moved.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that you read that part because that scene is so powerful. I think it's because you're out there without clothes. It seems both beautiful and intimate and dangerous, and you're really vulnerable. But then there's something about your bravery in that I think if I sensed a cougar, I'd probably just keep walking and pee later. But you're like, I'm out there. I may as well go. So you do. And so there's just something about your connection with nature that really comes through there, both the danger and the beauty of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We. Sometimes I go into plural, like I'm truly, this is my cafe. At the cafe here, we like to see what mug you have. Did you bring a coffee mug?
Yes, I have this. Yep. So it's a tree. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's a tree with the roots.
Yep, the roots, yeah, and the branches.
Beautiful. Give us a writing prompt, one that worked for you or that you just want to have writers do. Others are kidding.
One of many. This last year, I've been participating in a lot of writing salons. Normally in a salon, you're working with other people and somebody else is doing the reading, but I've adapted it a little bit so that if you're alone, what you can do is go to YouTube or Poetry Unbound, the podcast, and listen to a poem. Write down anything that stands out from the poem. Take about 3 minutes once you have your list and write from each phrase for 3 minutes. Just let whatever comes. I'm really a believer in stream of consciousness writing to really get the flow going. And, it might be crap, but you might come up with something that then is a little gem in there. And then once you have all the list of phrases that you've done 3 minutes on, pick what one really strikes you to go deeper, and then do a longer free write, 35 to 45 minutes. Don't stop writing, just keep going and see what comes. Often there's something really amazing, and it doesn't mean that it's perfect and that it doesn't need work, but it's something that your subconscious, I think, has released. When you're trying to think, oh, what am I going to write about? You're trying too hard. I think it's really about unleashing that subconscious, and then it gives you a little gift.
I love that so much, because when I teach and people write, like right on the spot, let's say just 2 minutes, they think, no way, I'm not going to write because I'm not going to come up with anything good during that time. But guess what? They really do. It's like you're saying, it kind of subverts your brain or something. And it's like this inner wisdom. You're right. I love the word gift. It is a gift. A lot of your work feels that way to me. These pieces feel a whole, like you said, intuitive, but they feel like gifts that naturally sort of, you tapped and then they arose. So thank you for sharing.
That's so nice to hear. Thank you.
No, well, thank you. I mean, I really love this book. There's a lot there in terms of form for people who like to write essay and, memoir, but also just like how you live it's such a different way, and how we're living doesn't work a lot of the times. And so it's really worth looking at other ways of living our lives. And I really admire you for both the writing and what you've done. So thank you for sharing that. I hope you'll consider pre-ordering a copy of Laurie's memoir, or if you're watching this past October, ordering a copy. I've linked to the bookshop she prefers below. Thank you for joining. Wait a second. Before you navigate away, hit subscribe and tick that little bell so that you're notified when new author interviews and craft material is posted. I appreciate your support as I continue to grow this channel.